What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Oak Tree Football Channel, and in today's video, I'm going to be going over my top 10 quarterbacks in the Pac-12 for the 2020 college football season. If you have not seen one of my quarterback ranking videos before, basically how it works is I'm going to be ranking my top 10 quarterbacks based off how I think they will perform this year. So these are not based off how talented I think these players are. This is based off how I think these players will perform. The Pac-12 obviously is one of the best conferences in college football. However, one of the best quarterbacks, arguably the best quarterback in the conference, Justin Herbert from Oregon, left to go to the NFL draft. So, he is now gone, but there are absolutely some very good quarterbacks in this conference. So let's just get right into it, starting at number 10. And currently at number 10, I have Cammon Cooper, the Washington State quarterback. Now, as you can see by his 2019 stats, he did nothing last year, and that was because I'm pretty sure he is going to be a freshman this year, which means obviously he has not played for Washington State yet. And I think because he is a freshman, there will absolutely be some struggles. But I don't think he'll be terrible. I actually think we can see some good things from him. And I think he can be a good quarterback for Washington State going forward. I think Washington State will be fine this year. And I think Cammon Cooper will be fine as well. There will absolutely be some struggles, without a doubt. And I don't think he will be close to the top of this list. But I do think he can be towards the bottom of it. So currently I have him at number 10. I kind of feel like I could put him off this list, but I feel I don't even know if he is the starter yet, but I think he will be the starter, and I think he will be just okay this season for Washington State. Moving on to number 9. At number 9, I have David Mills, the Stanford quarterback. Now, Stanford wasn't all that good last year, but I definitely think Stanford is going to get better this year, and I think Mills can actually play pretty well. His stats weren't that good last year, only 1,960 pass yards, 11 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Not the best. You absolutely want to see better numbers from him, but I think he will be able to get some better numbers this year. Absolutely. I just think that Stanford is going to take a step up. I don't think he's going to be anything special. I don't think he's going to put up any fantastic numbers, but I absolutely think he will step up and he will be good this season. I think it will be huge for Stanford, and I think they'll have a very good season. And I think Davis Mills can be a part of that. He's fine. I don't think he'll be great this year, but I don't think he'll be bad. I definitely think he deserves a spot on this list. But I definitely think it should be towards the bottom. But moving on to number 8, where at number 8 I have Gunnell from Arizona. Now, in my opinion, Arizona is one of the worst teams in the Pac-12, probably second or third worst. Only some that could be worse. Maybe Oregon State's worse, and probably Colorado is worse. Arizona is definitely towards the bottom, but Gunnell is actually a pretty good quarterback from what we saw of him last year, and I think he can be pretty good this season. Obviously, he didn't play all that much. You can just tell based on those numbers. Only 1,239 pass yards, 9 touchdowns, 1 interception. He also had 1 rushing touchdown. So he didn't play that much last year. But if he plays a solid amount this year, I think he can put up some fine numbers. The only reason I have him this low is because I just don't think Arizona is going to be that good of a team. But I think he can perform well enough for this team to maybe be better than some people might expect. I think he can help them win a few more games than maybe they would have if they didn't have him. But Arizona just is not a good team in my opinion, but Gunnell is a good quarterback, and he'll be a big help for them this season if they actually want to have the chance to win some games. So I think Gunnell's very good, pretty underrated as well. So he could absolutely have a big season this year. Moving on to number 7, and at number 7 I have Sirmon, the Washington quarterback. Now, it is not official that Sirmon will be the Washington starter this season. There could be someone else that plays quarterback for Washington, but I am assuming he will start. Didn't do that much last year, only 19 pass yards, -5 rushing yards, and that's really it. I think he can be pretty good if he does play. I think Washington will be pretty good this year because, even though they have a new coach, I just feel like it kind of should work out well for them. They don't have the toughest of schedules, so I think Washington can be a pretty good team this year. And I think Sirmon, if he does start, will be pretty good. I think whoever starts for Washington will be pretty good this season. I think it will be Sirmon, and I think Sirmon will play pretty well. Washington did have some very good receiving targets last year. They're losing some of those this year, but they still absolutely have some good receiving threats. So even though Sirmon really doesn't have much experience, I think he should be fine. But that's why I ranked him so low. He just doesn't have enough experience to really be a great quarterback, even though he is playing on a pretty good team. So though I think Washington will be pretty good, I think his lack of experience won't help him out, and I'm going to have him a bit lower on this list at number 7. Moving on to number 6, where at number 6 I have Dorian Thompson-Robinson from UCLA. Now, he played pretty well last year. It actually wasn't too bad. 2,701 pass yards, 21 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 198 rush yards, 4 touchdowns. So he's not that bad, but I actually think there's some very good quarterbacks in the Pac-12 this year. He could absolutely be higher, though, because he does have some experience. He'll most likely improve. I think he'll throw less interceptions this year and potentially more touchdowns. I think he can get better as a rusher as well. I think he is a pretty good rusher when he actually runs the ball. So I think we could see him running the ball a little bit more this season. And as a passer, I think he'll get better. I mean, I don't think he'll have more pass yards. Maybe he can get 3,000, but probably not. But pass touchdowns could definitely go up, and interceptions could go down. That's what UCLA is going to want. I think UCLA will actually be pretty good this season, and if Thompson-Robinson can actually play very good, they could easily be a very good team. So Thompson-Robinson easily has the potential to be one of the better quarterbacks in the Pac-12, and I was considering putting him higher than this, but there are some other quarterbacks that I do think are better. So I currently have him at number 6. Moving on to number 5, where at number 5 I have Utah quarterback Jake Bentley. Now, Bentley is a transfer, which is why it's kind of hard to predict how he'll play with limited practices. And he came from South Carolina, and he wasn't anything special at South Carolina. He wasn't bad, but 14 interceptions, you want to get that better. 27 touchdowns is pretty good, and 3,171 pass yards is pretty good as well. But the reason I have him so high on this list, or higher than some other players, is because he has SEC experience. Now, obviously, with limited practices, we're not sure how he's going to play in a new system on a new team. But Utah was pretty good last year. They should be pretty good again this year. And he is a guy that has SEC experience. Sure, he didn't play much in 2019, but he has the SEC experience from 2018 that can help him get the job done and put up some pretty good numbers this season and help Utah be a good team again. He definitely actually had some very good numbers 2 years ago. But if he can limit the interceptions, throw a little bit less than that, he can actually be a great quarterback for Utah. And Utah can be a serious contender in the Pac-12 for the second year running. He absolutely has potential. I was considering putting him at number 4. I really was. I was considering putting him in even higher than that. Like, you could put this guy higher because he has SEC experience and he was good in the SEC. He wasn't anything special, but he absolutely was above average. So Bentley definitely could have a very, very good season this year. I currently have him at number 5. Moving on to number 4. At number 4, I currently have Oregon quarterback Tyler Shough. I'm pretty sure it's not guaranteed Shough will be the starting quarterback for Oregon this year, but I am assuming he will start, and I think he will be pretty good. Having no experience really is going to hurt. That is going to hurt. But Oregon is, in my opinion, clearly the best team in the Pac-12. And they definitely have some good players. C.J. Verdell's a great running back. They have some good wide receivers. So I just think that's going to be a big help for Tyler Shough. He is probably the weak spot on this Oregon team, but he has a great offensive lineman in Penny Sewell. He has a great running back in C.J. Verdell. He has some very good wide receivers, and he has a great defense. So if the pieces around him can really work well enough, Tyler Shough can actually have a pretty good season this year, and he didn't play much last year, 144 pass yards, 3 touchdowns, and 11 rushing yards, but in limited playtime, in very, very limited playtime, those aren't too bad stats. That he threw 3 touchdown passes, 80 completion percentage, it's not too bad. So if he plays a full season, maybe he can actually make those stats a lot better. So there will 100% be struggles from him. Doesn't have much hasn't played that much in the past, doesn't have much experience, but playing on a very, very good Oregon team, we should have a very good season this year, and I couldn't put him higher because he doesn't have enough experience. But absolutely, there is enough there with him and for Oregon that he can be a very good quarterback this year. Now moving into the top three, and currently at number 3, I have Cal quarterback Chase Garbers. Now, Garbers is a very interesting player, and Cal is a very interesting team. In my opinion, Cal is one of the most underrated teams in college football, probably the most underrated in the Pac-12, just because this team definitely has a lot of talent. They were pretty good last year. I believe they finished 8-5, and they aren't losing too much, and they're bringing some good guys back. So Cal absolutely can be a very, very good team this year. Garbers put up pretty good numbers in limited playtime last year. He was injured towards the end of the season, but 1,772 pass yards, not great, but 14 touchdowns to only 3 interceptions to limited playtime, that's good. And he was solid as a rusher as well, 223 rush yards, 3 touchdowns. So he actually put up some really good numbers in limited playtime. If he plays a full season, and if he grows as a player, he can definitely have a big season for Cal. And if Cal can really put the pieces together and actually have a good year like I expect them to, this can be a serious threat. Garbers can be a seriously good quarterback this season. If he can throw some more yards and some more touchdowns and keep the interceptions low, it's perfect. And Cal, it's going to be big for Cal, and it's going to be big for Garbers. I really do think Garbers is a very talented quarterback, and I expect him to have a big season with Cal this year. I could see him being higher on this list, but I feel 3, somewhere between 3 and 5, I think is a reasonable spot for Garbers. So I think Garbers is going to have a big year. Maybe you might think this is a bit high, but I think Garbers is a good enough player, and I currently have him at number 3. Moving on to number 2. Currently at number 2, I have Arizona State quarterback Jayden Daniels. Now, Daniels last year as a freshman actually put up some very good numbers. 2,943 passing yards, very, very good, especially as a freshman. 17 touchdowns, you want to get that higher. But only 2 interceptions, that's fantastic from Jayden Daniels. He had 355 rush yards as well and 3 touchdowns. It's really, really good stats, especially for a freshman. And though he is losing Brandon Ayuk, his number 1 receiving target, he's also losing the number 1 running back, Eno Benjamin, which I think means Arizona State will pass the ball more. And I think Arizona State will be a very good team this year. I really think it's between them and USC to go to the Pac-12 championship game, where they would most likely play against either Oregon or Cal, or maybe Washington. But Daniels absolutely can be a great quarterback. Only 2 interceptions last year. That could become even lower now that he's had a full offseason to get better known with his team. He was a freshman last year and he threw 2 interceptions. He can throw even less than that this year, which is great. And he should grow and throw potentially more touchdowns. Depends with the limited games, will he still be able to? But I think he can reach about 20 touchdowns, even in limited games this season. So Daniels, I think, is a very, very good quarterback and should have a great year. He's extremely talented, and he is going to be someone to look out for. Arizona State is going to be a team to look out for. They could finish in the top 25 by the end of the year, and I really think Daniels is a huge reason because of that. Moving on to the number 1 spot, and currently at number 1, the quarterback in the Pac-12, I think will have the best season this year. I have Kedon Slovis from USC. Just like Slovis was also a freshman last season, and his numbers were just fantastic. Coming into the year, he wasn't even supposed to start. He was supposed to be a backup, but JT Daniels got injured, and Slovis was able to play, and he was very, very good. 3,502 pass yards, 30 touchdowns to only 9 interceptions with a 71.9 completion percentage. Running wasn't great, but passing, unbelievable, especially from a freshman quarterback that wasn't even supposed to start, that kind of got forced into that starting job. Those numbers are great. He's a fantastic player, and he'll probably grow this year. 3,502 pass yards is fantastic, especially as a freshman. 30 touchdowns is fantastic, especially as a freshman. Again, that was one of the most touchdown passes in the country by a freshman. Sam Howell, I know, had more, and there were a few others that had more, but 30 touchdown passes is great. 9 interceptions. As a freshman, that is good. Obviously, Daniels, too, was just incredible. 9 as a freshman, it's fine. You're going to want it to go down this season, but I think it will. If he can become a better decision maker, that completion percentage is very good as well. Slovis was just a great quarterback last season, even as a freshman, and I expect him to get better with USC this year. I expect USC to be an okay team this year. I do feel they are being a bit overrated by some people, but they absolutely can be a very good team this year, and Slovis can be one of the best quarterbacks in college football. He can potentially even be a Heisman candidate. If he puts up those numbers as a freshman, imagine what he can do in his second year. With a pretty good USC team with receivers like Amon-Ra St. Brown, they can be a seriously good team this year. Even though they are losing Michael Pittman, USC can be very good this year, especially that passing attack on the offense. Slovis can be a fantastic quarterback, and that is why I currently have him at number 1. So those were my top 10 quarterbacks in the Pac-12 for this year. What are your guys' top 10 quarterbacks? Tell me in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, and if you are new around here, feel free to subscribe for more NFL and college football content. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next video.